Hi everyone, my name is Joseph, and today I want to discuss The Ones Who Live Years. That's the first episode from the Walking Dead spinoff that's based on Rick and Michonne. I did have to watch this episode twice. The first time I watched it, I won't lie, this is me being transparent. I did have very low expectations. The reason being is because I did watch Dead City and Dixon, and I did keep up with The Walking Dead all the way to the series finale, which was in season 11, I believe. Yes, season 11. And despite me keeping up, I wouldn't have called myself a Walking Dead fan. The only reason why I did keep up was because, well, for the main series itself, was because of the sunk cost fallacy. And also, as someone who did finish the comics, I was curious about how they would end it compared to the comics. And then the reason why I did watch Dead City is because I do like Negan as a character, and I was hoping for uh, clues as to the CRM, the whereabouts of Rick, and the whereabouts of Michonne, her progress about finding Rick and everything like that. We didn't get too much or not any of that, unfortunately. And then for Dixon, same thing. I went into that show hopeful to get information about Rick and the CRM. But when I came to discover that we're not really going to get anything like that, I actually didn't finish Dixon. Not because I thought the show was bad, I actually was interested. But again, it was just because I don't know how to explain it. This might sound a little bit childish, but I missed Rick. I missed Rick Grimes as a character, and seeing how Negan, Aaron, Maggie, Daryl, and Carol, they were pushing the story together. Those were all characters that I did appreciate and enjoy when Rick was present. But I don't know. Just as a Rick fan, after Rick was gone, it just felt like those should have been Rick's stories. Rick should have been there to discuss that. Rick should have been there to offer his input, right? It just constantly felt like that. And I know it sounds a little bit childish to say that, but that's why I went in with low expectations for this show, especially because the show was originally a movie, a trilogy of movies, and it became this television show, and it's only 6 episodes. I went in not expecting much, but I ended up watching it a second time just because, well, I enjoyed it. That's why. The first time that I saw it, I'm not gonna lie, I was paying attention, but I'll do some other elements in the background, like I'll go on my phone really quickly, or I'll send a message or look up something that interested me that I may not have been aware about, like the attack at Omaha. Um, so I was distracted essentially. But after I saw the episode for the first time, I realized, oh my gosh, I want to watch it again without being distracted. I want to watch it again with the mindset that I'm going to enjoy this. Right? When I watched back then Game of Thrones, when I'm reading Digimon Seekers, when I'm watching Midnight Mass, trying to think of like a new show that just came up. Currently, I can't think of anything. I go into those new episodes with the mindset of I'm going to enjoy this. I'm looking forward to what the story, the narration has in store for me. But again, I went into The Ones Who Live Years with the mindset of, nah, very lukewarm, no expectations. So because of that, it affected the way that I was watching the show. And so when I rewatched it the second time, actually with the mindset of I'm going to enjoy this, well, I had to say, what a season premiere. So great to see Rick Grimes back in. It feels a little bit surreal because I was worried that Rick was. They kept saying they were going to do this Rick story, but again, all these changes that was going on, I was starting to not really believe it a little bit. And honestly, with everyone, I was unaware that the show was coming out this year. I knew that the show was coming out, but I thought it would be coming out in like 3, 4 years. At the beginning of 2024, when I saw advertisements for not just Netflix's Avatar The Last Airbender, but The Ones Who Live, I was shocked. I was in disbelief. I was like, what? February of this year, not February of next year, 2025, but of 2024? I did get a little bit excited because, again, I am a Rick Grimes fan, but then I also remembered, well, Dead City, Dixon, the last few seasons of The Walking Dead. That kind of curtailed my excitement a little bit. But I have plans to watch episode 2. That's already out. One has AMC Plus that gets released at 3 in the morning on Saturday, so Sunday at 3 in the morning. And for everyone else with regular TV, I believe it's at 9 p.m. And for those who utilize unsavory methods, due to AMC Plus, it should not be available. So, pardon me for the last part. I know some people don't agree with that, but as someone who grew up in a low-income environment, I like to offer as many options for people if they are interested in something. But would I recommend? So this is not really a review. I'm planning to do a review of the whole show once all 6 episodes are out. I just wanted to discuss and talk about the show. But would I recommend The Ones Who Live? Oh my gosh, if you stopped watching the show when Rick left, yes, I highly recommend it. If you stopped watching the show because Michonne left, yes, I would highly recommend it. If you stopped watching when Glenn was killed off, I'll be honest, I'm not sure if that show would be for you. Just because episode one, it's maintaining what The Walking Dead was known for. It had a lot of similarities to Game of Thrones in terms of its characters. I would argue that that similarity kind of dissipated as both shows went on. But it's, what I'm referring to is, well, I don't want to be too specific, so I won't be specific for anyone who watches the show. But um, essentially, if one is a fan of Glenn, they might not appreciate what's going to occur in the first episode. If you didn't like or appreciate how quickly Glenn was taken away from the audience, then this may not be for you. But for everyone else, for those who are fans of Rick, for those who are fans of Michonne, and for those who were fans of just the dramatic nature of The Walking Dead, I definitely think there's going to be something in here for you. For everyone else who left the show because it just got tired of it because they thought it was boring, the stories were repeating. I'll be frank with you guys, I never really had that mindset. For me, the stories repeating kind of made a little bit of sense. I mean, they're constantly going to face other groups of people, but that repetition I felt like was done in different contexts. First, there was the prison. They found Alexandria. Alexandria was completely different from the prison. I mean, the prison, it's a prison, and Alexandria was an actual city. Then they met other groups of people. So even though that repetition was present, I mean, that's like saying Mario is repetitive, right? But everyone loves Mario, especially the classic Mario games. All you do is jump and hit people's, not even hit, you just jump on people's heads. Anyways, so if one did have that mindset, I'll be completely honest with you, I'm not sure. Well, if one was upset with the repetition, then I think maybe this show will interest you because there's no elements of protecting a community. There's no, in fact, everyone keeps talking about the show as a love story. That it's going to be primarily a love story, and I found that to be a little bit confusing at first because it's The Walking Dead. When I think about The Walking Dead, I don't think of romance. I don't think of love. But after watching the first season, and watching interviews with Lincoln and Guerrero, Danny Guerrero, Andrew Lincoln, I'm starting to realize I see their perspective. I believe this story, rather than focusing on a community, protecting a community, is going to be focusing on rekindling a dynamic between two characters that haven't been on the same screen for many years. In case one is unaware, Rick Grimes has not been on the screen for 5 years, and thus Michonne, I believe, either for 4 or 3 years since she left in season 10, so I believe 3 years. I would highly recommend that one does check out the show. They have any inkling whatsoever. I'm really looking forward to episode 2, and I will be doing this more than likely like weekly videos about the ones who live, but I'll be coming out a full week later just because I won't be able to watch it until Sunday, and I don't make videos typically into Sundays. I'll do my best to maybe make videos on Mondays to keep up with the show, but more than likely will be 1 week out from when the show typically gets released and when everyone's discussing it. But now that I said all of that, I do want to talk about minor spoilers. So if one hasn't seen the show, I would highly recommend that you click away now. So what I meant earlier for those Glenn fans who don't appreciate characters being taken away, Okafor, man, what a cool character Okafor was. At first, when I first saw him, I was like, oh great, here we go, another new character, a character I'm not gonna care about. Well, I shouldn't say that because I did care about the sister and the from Dixon, the sister and the young boy. I like them as characters, and also the Covenant, Covenant. Excuse me, I can't pronounce words sometimes. The Nunnery. But in Dead City, I'll be honest with everyone, I was not really the biggest fan of the side characters in that show. But I think that show really made me want to play Fallout because of the way that the characters were dressed, especially Fallout New Vegas. So when Okafor was first shown on the screen, I was like, oh great, another character I'm going to have no feelings for. Oh man, how wrong I was. Even the first time that I saw it, when I wasn't really paying attention with that mindset of I'm going to enjoy this show, I appreciate his character. The second time that I saw it with the mindset of I am going to watch with the sense of actually watching, not being distracted, I ended up really, dare I say, loving his character. I'm so upset that he's gone already. I'm not usually a fan of flashbacks, but I am hoping that, because obviously they being Rick and Okafor, they had a long relationship. After he got recruited, it seems like at least maybe 3 to 4 years passed as them working together, doing missions and stuff like that. I'm really hoping we'll get some flashbacks with Okafor. I'm hoping this won't be the last time that we see of him. Freaking Walking Dead, of course you come back, and then when you come back, it's the way that it used to be when most of the characters were not safe, right? As a viewer, I love it. It sucks to see Okafor gone, but in terms of the story, I'm sure it's going to serve a bigger purpose. Rick, oh my goodness, I'm not gonna lie to everyone. The fact that Rick was a prisoner, every time we saw Rick before the show came out, like there was a small snippet of him. Oh, excuse me, I said 5 years. That's not since we saw Grimes on the screen. That's not necessarily true for the series finale of The Walking Dead. There was like a 5-minute scene of Rick Grimes to help tease the show that was going to come out. And in that show, it was obvious he was barefoot. He was being chased. He was caught. He looked happy at the end, but I also heard how when people talking about the show that they were saying that this would be Rick Grimes' lowest point that we've ever seen him. As a Rick Grimes fan, I really was not looking forward to that. And I wasn't looking forward to seeing Rick. I mean, again, I know it sounds childish, but all the badass scenes that Daryl, Negan, Maggie, Carol got after season 9, and now we're not gonna have any badass scenes with Rick. He's just a prisoner. He's just beat down. I was not looking forward to seeing that, but the writers did such a good job of quickly going over that. Yes, he was at his lowest point, but it wasn't because he was a prisoner. It was because of him trying to get back to his home, and we didn't even see him as a prisoner for too long. The fact that he joined the military the military, the Civil Republic military. He joined that instead of going to the civilian side. I think that was really cool. When they showed Rick training, when they showed Rick learning how to fly a helicopter. Oh, excuse me, sorry, I was coaster bad. Sorry. That was awesome. Why was that awesome? Because if someone had told me that Rick Grimes, a badass, was going to become even more badass due to the show, I wouldn't have believed you. I'd have been like, how could that be possible? Rick's a prisoner. What's going to occur that Rick is going to be able to grow in terms of leadership and combat roles? And so that was really cool. The fact that he could fly a helicopter, that was awesome. I loved how even the fact that he cut off his own hand. As someone who did read the comics, I love comic Rick Grimes. I also love TV show Rick Grimes. And now that they're becoming more closely aligned, I personally don't mind that at all. And I know a lot of people were complaining about the fact that he cut off his hand. He was desperate. I mean, they emphasized that was not his first time trying to escape. That was his fifth time. He was desperate. And the fact that he was willing to cut off his own hand, I think really shows the determination and gumption that makes Rick Grimes who he is. The reason why he was able to form Alexandria, he was able to lead Alexandria, and start to hopefully build a community in the same way that he did in the comics. Unfortunately, it never came to fruition in the show because Lincoln's walked out. But the reason why he's able to do that is because Rick Grimes has always been someone who utilizes agency in a determined way. So for him to cut off his own hand, I think for me that made a lot of sense. The fact that he was suicidal, because he had to accept that he will not be able to see his family, because even if he did escape, he would be putting his family and the communities at risk. That was an intriguing aspect of his character to really see play out. It's not that he gave up because he lost all hope, but rather he gave up because he realized there really is no hope. Again, well, I guess that's the same thing, right? But what I'm going to rephrase that he didn't lose that hope, right? So it didn't dissipate. He realized there was no hope to begin with. So that hope was still present. I believe he would not have been suicidal, but that realization that Okafor knows where his family is at, that Okafor will go after Rick, and after it, he knew Michonne's name. Did he say Judith's name? I don't think he did, but he knew Michonne's name. That must have been frightening and very eye-opening experience for Rick Grimes as an individual. So him and his suicide mindset, again, I think it really builds up Rick as a character. I love how the way it ended as well, with Rick meeting with Michonne. I thought for sure, I was like with a lot of people, I thought it was going to be a lot of backstory, and then at the end of the season, we'll catch up to the main story, or even catch, because there's a huge time gap, or not catch up, but at the very least we'll end with the reunion of Michonne and Rick. But the fact that they did it in the first episode, this tells me, hopefully, I'm hoping that the story is going to be moving forward. The pacing is not going to be slow. I'm hopeful that for episode 2, I saw a lot of people concerned that episode 2 might all be Michonne's backstory ending with that same scene that ended episode 1. If it did go like that, it honestly wouldn't shock me too much. I would hope that the backstory is really intriguing and interesting. But I'm hopeful that what will occur instead is that we'll get Michonne's backstory, and maybe 75% through the episode we'll get to the end of episode 1 and then continue pushing the story forward. I think that'd be really cool. But Although I am, as I said, I came into the show with low expectations, but now I'm readjusting them. I still do need to keep in mind it's fine to readjust my expectations. I shouldn't be uh, unrealistic with my expectations. So I'm hopeful that, again, to reiterate, the 75% mark will be the end of episode 1 that will push the story forward, and that it won't be all Michonne backstory and then ending with the last 5 minutes being the end of episode 1. So yeah, anyway, so if you're watching The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live, what's your opinion? I would really love to hear it. Are you excited to see Rick Grimes back? Are you not caring that Grimes is back? Despite Grimes being back, it really does feel like The Walking Dead is back in the way that it used to be. But I do still have to mention, unfortunately, Carl's absence is still, at least for me, still very noticeable. Like, I'm excited for Rick to go back home to meet everyone else, and I hope I don't sound mean. I really don't care about Judith Grimes or RJ Grimes. Right? Hashtag not my Grimes. But, and I know that sounds really mean. It's not the actress's fault. It's just because, as someone who read the comics, Carl was a cool character. He was cool in the comics. He was cool. I mean, he could be kind of annoying in the show from time to time. But at the end, I think they did a really good job with his characters. So that's the one aspect that, unfortunately, the show can't take back. The death of Carl Grimes. But for right now, it's great. It's awesome seeing Andrew Lincoln back as Rick Grimes. And I'm looking forward to the adventure that he's going to have being Rick Grimes and interacting with Michonne and everyone else. I guess before I end this video, the last thing I will say is it wouldn't shock me if other main characters don't appear, like Ezekiel, Ezekiel, Daryl, Carol, Maggie, Negan. And honestly, that doesn't upset me too much because as long as we get Rick Grimes, and Rick Grimes with Michonne, Rick Grimes with awesome new characters like Okafor or Okafor-like characters, I'm completely satisfied. With that being said, though, the one character I do hope will make an appearance is Morgan. I mean, how can I not? Morgan, in my opinion, is a really cool character. I think they did a good job of juxtaposing him with Rick, the way that they were both like really mental during the Savior War. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, everyone. I do appreciate it. I hope that you're enjoying The Ones Who Live as much as I am. After this, I'm gonna go ahead and get my breakfast started and probably sit down and watch the second episode of The Ones Who Live. Take care, everyone.